Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if it's not your first time here, thanks for coming back. So today we have a bronzer and highlighter declutter video. It's more of like a collection video, and I happen to declutter a couple of items here and there. My declutter videos aren't like big giant getting rid of half of my collection videos. I do periodically throughout the year slowly declutter things as I go, so it's kind of anticlimactic at the end. So think about this as more of a collection video. All of my products that I do declutter, if they are lightly used or new, I do pass them on to family and friends. If they are old and expired, I throw them out. If I have received a product in PR, 99% of the time I do say it, but if I don't say it, I pop it up on the screen like in editing. I did put it up on the screen when I missed saying it. And if I have any codes or discount codes or affiliate codes or anything with these brands, they are listed down in the description box always. And if you are wondering about my nails, I do get them done at a salon. So I don't know what color they are. They're just a gel polish with a chrome powder on top. All right, I think that's all I have to say. Enjoy the video. All right, we're gonna start with bronzers. I have quite a lot of bronzers here. I don't presume I'm gonna declutter too many. That's kind of the theme here for all of these declutters. But it is kind of like a peek into my collection, if you will, which, I don't know, maybe that's interesting to you, maybe it's not. Let's start with cream bronzers first. We're gonna start off with, this is probably my favorite cream bronzer of all time, but I am gonna declutter it because it's old and it's starting to smell bad and it makes me so sad. But I break out so easily and I can't be using old products, especially cream products. This is the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer Stick in the shade Baked. It is a gorgeous, just what it says, matte cream bronzer. It stays put on my oily skin. It is the perfect color for me, like a neutral. It's the perfect amount of pigment. When I use cream products, I never ever draw straight onto my face. I use my brush and I go onto the brush and then I go from the brush onto my face. And I feel like it blends well. It's definitely not super emollient. It is a little stiffer because it is a matte bronzer, but yeah, I love this, but I am gonna get rid of it. I'll maybe repurchase it at some point, and they come in smaller components now, which I think is smart because this is ginormous. And I use it all the time and definitely haven't used it up, but it's gotta go. Something that I found is a pretty good alternative. I'm not gonna say dupe because I don't like saying the word dupe, but I feel like this is a good alternative and I might be able to just get my fix from this. These are the ColourPop Bronze Sticks. These are a little more emollient, I would say, than the Milk, but still good for my oily skin. And again, I don't go in straight from the stick onto my face. I go in from the stick to the brush and then the brush to the face. I have two different colors. I have the shade Laguna Beach, which is the lightest that they offer, and I have La Jolla Cove, which is the second lightest. But you can see that they're different here. They are matte finish. They are really nice, really easy to use, and both of these shades work for me. The lightest shade, Laguna Beach, is slightly more neutral, and La Jolla Cove is a little more warm, but not too warm, not orange or anything like that. Really love these. I do believe that they are available at Target, and I saw that they are available at Ulta as well, so I am gonna keep these. This is a newer one to my collection. This is the Juvia's Place cream bronzer in the shade Honey. It is in the hockey puck format, very flat, large circle, and this is a very shimmery cream bronzer, but I will say I actually like this formula. Is it my favorite? No. But I do want to keep it in my collection, especially because it's so new. I do get use out of it. I do enjoy it. The formula is pretty pigmented. I think this is either the second or third lightest, and it is borderline too deep for me. I have to go in with a light hand, but I still want to keep it. I still want to get use out of it. This is one of my favorite cream bronzers in my collection. This is the ColourPop Super Shock Bronzer Matte in the shade I'll Bet. I actually have pan in it and a lot of hairs. I'm hoping that those are brush hairs and or cat hairs. I don't know, just ignore them, please. This is a really good warm neutral color, a really buildable formula, not super pigmented, really easy to blend. I would say this is good for a beginner. Like if you don't want an overly bronzed look, this is very easy to sheer out. It's a cream to powder formula, like a putty formula, and the shade I'll Bet is perfect for me, so I am definitely keeping this. I have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in the shade Honey Drip. I really like this one, but just like the blush, the cream blush that I have from e.l.f., it is dried out. It's really dried out. It's cracking. I did get a lot of use out of this. Not that you can tell from this angle, but there is a giant dip in this. I think maybe at some point I would consider repurchasing it because I do like this formula. It's almost gel-like it's more sheer, not super opaque. So if you want something like this, I do suggest this. There's quite a lot of shades as well, very affordable, but it is expired for sure. Like I bought these when they first launched them 3 years ago, something like that. So I am going to end up decluttering this one. I have another drugstore cream bronzer. I keep wanting to say cream blush, cream bronzer. Editing Rachel's gonna hate cutting out cream blush every time. Flawless in Real Life bronzer in the shade On Point. I really like this one. Look at how many hairs are in this. I'm disgusting. This reminds me a lot of the Super Shock bronzer from ColourPop, where it is a little bit more on the buildable side. It's not overly pigmented. It's got a really good natural finish. Love this color, especially for the winter time for me. When I'm tan, it's a little too light, but I really like this. And actually, they have an even lighter shade than this. So I think it's a great option if you are very fair and you have a hard time finding cream bronzers that work for you. Check out this brand, but the lightest shade, I did used to own it, but I decluttered it because it was too light. But I like this one in the shade On Point. Just have a few more cream bronzers. This is the NYX Wonder Stick. This is in the shade Universal Light. So there is a bronzer, cream bronzer on one side and a cream highlighter on the other side. I actually really like this formula. It reminds me a lot of these ColourPop bronze sticks where it is more of a natural matte finish. Again, I go from the stick to the brush and then the brush to the face, and I find that it blends just fine. I don't really love the cream highlighter on this side. I don't really reach for it, but I am gonna declutter this because it is quite old, and if I have the ColourPop ones, I don't feel like I need this because I feel like they're so similar that I just don't need both. So I am gonna declutter this one. I have the Danessa Myricks Power Bronzer in the shade Light. This is a really interesting formula. It's more moussey, a little bit thicker of a cream bronzer formula, a little bit more opaque. I'll be honest with you, I've not reached for this all year, and it is quite light for me. Probably would only work for me in the wintertime. There is a big dip in this. Like I did use it a couple of years ago when I bought it quite a lot, but I don't think I need it in my collection. It's a couple of years old. I've got other options that I'll reach for over this, so I am gonna declutter it. And then the last cream bronzer in my collection, the Makeup Revolution cream bronzer in the shade Light. Love this one. This one I would suggest to all skin types. I am an oily skin type, but I feel like this would work for dry skin, normal skin, because it is very emollient. The shade Light for me is perfect, like a neutral color, not too warm, not too cool, just really gorgeous, very easy to use. Pretty strong in terms of pigment, so just be aware of that, but really good cream bronzer, so I will be keeping this for sure. Let's go to single powder bronzers. So let's start off with the Beauty Bakery Snackaroons bronzer in the shade House Blend. This is a really pretty bronzer. I think this would work well for somebody with my skin tone or lighter. I am a light skin tone, so I would say if you're light or fair, this is a really good drugstore bronzer. It's really nice, really easy to blend. This doesn't work for me in the summertime when I have a little bit more of a tan, but I think I will keep this for another year. I've not reached for it this year, but I do enjoy it and I want to try to get some use out of it. So I will be keeping this one. Then I have a little mini of the Hoola bronzer from Benefit. I love this bronzer. I think it's great. I like having a little mini to travel with. So I think I am gonna keep this. It's pretty darn old, but I think it's okay because it's a powder product. I'm not too squeamish about keeping it. I will keep it for another year. I think maybe if I really want to buy a full size, I might do that at some point. But I do like this, I do use it, and I do like to travel with it, so I will keep it. Next, we have the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker Instant Warmth Bronzer in the shade Shady Biz. This is another one I've not reached for, but I do really like it, so I think I want to keep it, again, to try to get some more use out of it. It is a beautiful, neutral, matte bronzer that's a little bit more on that buildable pigment side. It's not overly pigmented. It's very easy to blend, and it's not patchy. It's a good, solid bronzer. There's nothing spectacular about it, but I like it, so I'm gonna keep it. Okay, here's one that I am going to declutter. It's still a good product, but I don't need all of these, matte bronzers. They're all kind of similar in a way. This is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade 03 Suntan. I've just had this for probably 5 years, and I don't reach for it. Haven't reached for it in a really long time. Like I said, it's very comparable to the Fenty Beauty one, I would say. I would say maybe the Fenty Beauty one is slightly warmer, if you can tell by the shade. This one's a little bit cooler. They both work for me. This is a good, solid drugstore matte bronzer that blends easily. It's truly matte, no sparkle, no shimmer. I recommend it, but I don't need it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Another one that I'm going to declutter is the Kylie Cosmetics Pressed Bronzing Powder in the shade Toasty. I really enjoyed this when I first got it, but I haven't used it. It's quite old, and it's, again, a matte bronzer that's just like the Hoola, it's just like the Fenty, it's just like the Beauty Bakery, all of which I'm keeping. I would say this one actually is probably the most hard pressed in the pan, so it doesn't really pick up on the brush as much, but it's still good, but of course it's been discontinued. This was way back before Kylie Cosmetics was bought out, so I'm gonna declutter this one. Another one that I'm gonna declutter, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I never reach for this. This is the Marc Jacobs Omega Bronzer in the shade Tantric. I bought this at TJ Maxx or Marshall's probably 3-4 years ago. And look, all of the lines in it are intact. I've maybe used this 5 times. I really haven't had any use out of it. It's just a matte bronzer, like I've said with all these other ones that are all pretty darn similar. And this is the one I reach for the least, so I am going to declutter it. I'm decluttering a lot more than I thought I was going to, which is interesting. I have a mini of the NARS Laguna bronzer. This one I am going to keep. I really enjoy this one in the summertime. It is a very hard pressed bronzer, and I used to not really love this bronzer, but I've really come to appreciate it. It has a slight sheen to it. It is more of a dark color, and I like this because on my bare skin, if I'm not wearing foundation, it just sinks into the skin. It makes it look like my skin is actually tan, which I love. So I am gonna keep this one. Then I have the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzer in the shade Light Medium. This is another matte bronzer that is very similar to these other ones I've talked about, but I am gonna keep this one. I do really like this one. The one thing about this that I think is a little different than the others is the color is slightly deeper, so I enjoy this one in the summertime. Right now, for me, it's a little too deep, but I like using this when I have a little bit more of a tan. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, good old faithful. I do actually reach for this a lot. I've been reaching for it, especially now in the wintertime when I don't have a tan. It is a gorgeous, not strictly matte, there is a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's not sparkles, it's not glitter, it's just a really beautiful, blendable, dependable bronzer that I really reach for when I don't know or don't want to think about what bronzer I'm reaching for, so I am going to keep this one. This one is a new one to my collection. This is the Makeup Revolution Bronzer Reloaded in the shade Long Weekend. This one does not work for me right now when I don't have a tan. I need to have a tan for this one, but it is a baked blush with shimmer, but it does work for me in the summer. I feel like I reach more for glowy bronzers in the summer. I don't know what it is, just that glowy goddess, beach goddess type of look or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's just what I'm telling myself, but I am going to keep this one is what I'm trying to say. Very similar to that last one is the Flower Heat Wave Luminous Bronzer. This one is in the shade Sunrise L1, but this one is good for when I don't have a tan. It's a lot lighter. It's a little bit, it looks very gray in the pan, but on the face, it's more neutral. So I actually really enjoy this, again, when I am not tan, and I enjoy this when I'm not wearing a foundation, just putting it on my bare skin. It is a really beautiful, just my skin tanned look to it. Doesn't look fake, is what I'm trying to say. It definitely has a glow. I wouldn't say a sparkle or a glitter, but a glow. So I'm gonna keep this one. This is my favorite bronzer this year. This is probably my second most used bronzer. The other one's gonna come up soon, but this is the Sigma matte bronzer in the shade Medium. I did pick up a whole bunch of products from Sigma, and this was probably one of my favorites of the year. Just a gorgeous, again, matte bronzer that blends easily. This one is not super pressed in the pan, so it does pick up on a brush super easily, and this one really works for me. I can make it work right now if I use a light hand, but I can build it up when I have more of a tan. It is just an effortless bronzer, just really, really beautiful. So of course I'm going to keep that. I have 2 of the ColourPop pressed powder bronzers. I used to have 4 of them. No, I used to have a third one rather. That's right. So when they launched at Target, I bought Summerland Beach and I bought Avila Beach. I decluttered a Vela Beach because it was way too light. If you have a fair skin tone, actually, I think you would enjoy it. I did pass it on to one of my friends who has a fair skin tone. So it's not always easy to find fair skin tone bronzers, especially at the drugstore. But this one is a little deep for me. I can really only use it in the summertime, and there was no shade in between that they sold at Target. But then ColourPop reached out and asked if they could send me a PR package, and they allowed me to go on their website and pick out a handful of things. And so I picked up Coconut Beach, which is truly in the middle of Avila Beach and Summerland Beach. But they don't sell this one at Target, so that was the difference. Coconut Beach is my perfect ColourPop pressed powder bronzer shade. It's a little more neutral, as you can see. This one's a little warmer, and like I said, this one is a little deeper. And this one is perfect for me pretty much year-round. I really enjoy it a lot. Another bronzer that I reached for quite a lot in this year, and so I'm going to keep both of these. And then I have a handful of like duos, trios that I want to talk about. So I have the One Size Made for Shade Bronze and Sculpt Trio in the shade Light. This was one that I got a lot of use out of in 2022. I think it made like my favorite products of 2022 list. And this one is great, and I would definitely suggest, if you're unsure what shade to get, to go down lighter than you think you need. Sometimes I can go with a medium, sometimes I can go with a light. This is light, and it is borderline too deep for me. Very pigmented, very like loosely pressed in the pan, so it picks up on a brush super easily. All three of these, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't feel like they're that different in terms of shade. Like, did we need all three? Maybe not. Like, the finish is the same in all three of the products. I guess if I looked really closely, I could see a slight shade difference. But all that to say, I do enjoy this formula. I am going to keep it. I definitely really can only use this in the summertime, though. This is my most used bronzer of the year. This is the Give Beauty Pick It Up Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo in the shade Toastin'. Love the packaging with the bandana print and the paper bag print. And then on the inside, look, as you can see, I have a big dip in the cream bronzer portion. It's called a cream contour. I don't feel like it's cool toned. When I hear contour, I think cool toned. These are just like beautiful products. The cream product is really blendable, really easy to use. I love the tone. It's a little bit more olivey in an undertone, which I love. And then this powder product is like not a totally matte bronzer. It has a little bit of a sheen to it without being chunky or sparkly. Love, 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 love this duo. Definitely keeping it. Then I have the Juvia's Place Bronzed Bronze Medium Duo. This is two different powder bronzers. As you can see, I've gotten a lot of use out of this. We have more of like a yellow based bronzer, and then we have a little bit more of a kind of warmer bronzer. Love this duo. It's very easy to use, not overly pigmented, would be great for a beginner if you want a truly matte bronzer. Really, really nice. And they have a lot of different shades, so definitely keeping this. I have the Joa Beauty Glow On Girl Bronze and Glow Duo. Now this is a bronzer and highlighter duo, but I keep it in my bronzer drawer because I really only use the bronzer in this. I don't use this highlighter because it is quite deep for my skin tone, but the bronzer is magnificent. I wore this bronzer on my wedding day. It is that like matte with a sheen bronzer. Not sparkly, not glittery, but not flat matte either. The color is perfect, neutral, blends easily. Unfortunately with Joa Beauty, they have very limited shade ranges with all of their products. So this is the only shade that they offer in this duo, which I think is kind of weird. I don't know why, but I will say for my skin tone, it works really well, so I will be keeping this. And then my last one is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow Mini Contour and Highlighter Powder. So I really like this. I haven't reached for this in a really long time, but I think I'm gonna try to make an effort to use it. I really can only use this when it is wintertime because the bronzer is quite light. And the highlighter is really pretty, more of like a lit from within glow, not super pigmented, not super blingy, just like a really nice subtle highlighter, which I do enjoy from time to time. So I will be keeping this, and yeah. So I didn't really declutter that many bronzers, you guys. Let's get a final count. I did find this e.l.f. one hiding. So this is the Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour. I have mine in the shade Light Medium. This is like one of those floof ball things. The packaging is gross. Like you can't close the top, but I will say I do really enjoy this product. Like I like it. It's not a cool toned color. It's more of a neutral, very liquidy formula, easy to blend. So I actually am going to keep this one. So with that, I have 23 bronzers that I'm keeping and 7 that I'm decluttering. So might not seem like a lot, but to me, like I finally have enough room, like things aren't overflowing. And that's kind of my main goal with these declutters is I'm getting to the point where things are not fitting in drawers, especially the lip section. When you get to the lip declutter, that's going to be a long one. Okay. But these ones, I'm happy with that number. Okay. So now we're going to go to highlighters. The highlighter collection is out of control. Okay. It's a lot. But with that being said, I love highlighters. I love them. So I don't know how much I'm going to declutter. That's the honest truth. So let's start with liquid highlighters. I only have 4. Actually, this one's not even a liquid, it's a cream. So I only have 3 liquid highlighters. So I have the Juvia's Place. I think it's just called liquid highlighter. I don't really see the name. This is in the shade Starstruck. It is a beautiful liquid highlighter. A little bit goes a long way. It's very easy to use. It gives like a wet look to the cheeks. It's not glittery, sparkly, nothing like that. So I'm going to keep this one. And then in contrast to that, I have the Unearthly Cosmetics. It's called Incandescent highlighters. These are on super sale on the website. I'm pretty sure they're being discontinued. This is in the shade Basque, and it is a duochrome liquid highlighter. I'm trying not to swatch all of these because it's going to take forever. But it is a yellow to a pink. It has a little bit more of a translucent base to it. And it is a little bit more of like a balmy liquid highlighter, so it doesn't dry down like completely. But I love this highlighter. I think it's super unique. So I am going to keep this one. And then the third liquid highlighter I have is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand in the shade Champagne Campaign. I don't really love this one. I don't feel like it gives a glow to my skin. I feel like it looks kind of dull on the cheeks. And if I'm going to take the extra step, in my opinion, it's an extra step to use a liquid highlighter, I want the results to be really nice. And I just don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze, literal squeeze on this one. So I think I am going to declutter it. All right, and then we're going to go to powder highlight. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a good place to put the Super Shock highlighter next, which is kind of in between a cream and a powder. I've had this highlighter for years. I think I need to just get rid of it because it's definitely expired and probably I'm going to start breaking out if I use it. But this is like a beautiful Super Shock highlighter. This is in the shade On the Cusp. This was their collaboration with Kathleen Light's, the Zodiac collection. How many years ago did that come out? Many years ago. But this is a gorgeous highlighter. It's like a rose gold. I think I may have to repurchase one of these Super Shock highlighters, and I'm sure they have a shade similar to this. This is definitely discontinued, but I'm gonna have to let it go. I'm gonna let it go. All right, now let's go to powder highlighters. The rest of these are powder highlighters. They are my preferred highlighter formula. Let's start off with the Rare Beauty highlighter. This one came out at the beginning of the year. I have mine in the shade Exhilarate. I love the packaging, like very Polly Pocket-esque. And then on the inside, we have this gorgeous, like baked gelée kind of formula. Very blingy. Very, very, very blingy. But I love it. I love it. If I want to wear like a champagne color and make it be very bright, this is one that I'll reach for. So definitely going to keep this one. I have the Kaleidos Space Age highlighter in the shade Ray Rider. This I won in a giveaway a while ago, and I really like this formula. It's a really pretty champagne highlighter. It's not as smooth as the Rare Beauty. It has a little bit of like I don't want to say texture, but it's not sparkly either. I really enjoy this one, so I am going to keep it. This highlighter I absolutely love. Very unique in my collection. This is the Milani Baked Highlighter in the shade Dolce Perla, and it is like a pinkish, I don't know, very unique color. Super beautiful formula. It is a baked formula, so it's not like super powdery. It gives a really pretty wet look to the skin. I actually need to pull this one out and use it more. Like, it is gorgeous. Love it. I went through a phase of using this like all the time. Very unique and beautiful keeping it. I think I am going to declutter the NYX High Glass Illuminating Powder. This is kind of like the Super Shock formula from ColourPop, where it is like a cream, bouncy. Yeah, it's a cream. Like I am pushing it and it's wet feeling. This is a really pretty formula, but I've had it for a really long time and I never reach for it. So I am gonna pass it on, or probably I should toss it. Actually, I've had it for quite a few years. This is another one that I've had for a really long time, and I think I'm just going to declutter it because I've not used it at all this year, but it is a really pretty formula. This is the Lorac Light Source Mega Beam Highlighter in the shade Gilded Lily. Very, very blingy, very metallic, like very 2017, 2018, which is not a bad thing. Like I've used this a lot, but I don't need it. I've got other highlighters that I'll reach for over this one. This one I'm not gonna let go of because it's nostalgic and it's really beautiful. This is Champagne Pop from Becca. You know, it's gorgeous. It's again, very 2017, 2018, very wet looking on the skin, very blingy, a beautiful champagne. I mean, it's really not unlike the Rare Beauty one. Actually, the shades are different. They both read very blingy on the cheeks, so I'm going to keep them both. Odin's Eye highlighter from their Soul Mana 2 collection. This is the Moonlight Feel highlighter in the shade Warm Sunshine. One of my favorite highlighters in my collection. Oh no! I just screwed up this beautiful embossing. Another reason why I hate having long nails. And I just got it all over my lap. Oh my goodness. Hold, please.
A few moments later.
This is a beautiful highlighter that has a warm orangey undertone. I'm so sad I screwed up the embossing. That makes me so incredibly sad. I don't know how well it's going to be translating in this light, but it is like pink and orange. Absolutely beautiful. And it is colorful without being sparkly, which is not something that you see very often. So I'm definitely going to keep this one. I think I am going to let go of the e.l.f. I forget what these are called, but I've had this one for years and I don't reach for it. It's in the shade 24 Karat Gold. I can't remember what these are called, but it's a nice drugstore highlighter. Very hard pressed in the pan, so not a ton of like powderiness or anything. I like it. I don't reach for it. It's just not one that I really need in my collection if I've got other kind of golden highlighters that I've got coming up that I'll reach for over this. This highlighter, I love. I wore it on my wedding day. It is a gorgeous lit from within glow type of highlighter. You can tell by the packaging, like it's worn off quite a lot because I've used it so much. This is the Essence, the highlighter in the shade 02 Sun Showers. Just a beautiful, like smooth, not even for the price, like just a good highlighter in general. So I'm definitely keeping this one. Another gorgeous highlighter, that I discovered this year is from Sigma. This is the highlighter in the shade Sizzle. And this is very blingy as well. A little bit more of like a rose gold color, which is a little bit more unique to my collection. Super blingy, but super smooth. Love the packaging, definitely keeping this one. Another one that I discovered this year, I got this in PR from Makeup Revolution. This is the highlighter Reloaded in the shade Just My Type. A gorgeous champagne, smooth. You can build it up to be a little more blingy, but I wouldn't say off the bat it's super blingy. Really love this one. Pretty new to my collection, so I am definitely going to keep it. I have another Super Shock highlighter from ColourPop. This is the Super Shock Chic in the shade Flip Flop. This was in one of their like Ulta collections. I like this. I don't love it. Like it's a little light for my skin tone, so it is very, very bright, and I just don't reach for it. I think I can definitely declutter this one and not be too hurt about it. Let's talk about this just because it's the only kind of stick highlighter that I have. This is the ColourPop Light Stick in the shade Skywatcher. This came out in the Aurora Struck collection, and I love this highlighter. I love it. It is like a blue color. Look at that. Oh, it is gorgeous. And it's such an interesting formula because it is a stick cream highlighter, but it's not like overly dewy or like overly, I don't know. It's very, very beautiful. And you really can't tell, like if I put my hand like this, you can't see that blue cast until I turn. Like when I turn my head, you can see that very strong blue shift. It is beautiful, definitely keeping it. Okay, so I have quite a few of the pressed powder highlighters from ColourPop. I'm sorry about this packaging. It is so reflective. Let me just open them up. So 4 of these are from the Wish You Were Here collection, these 4 that I just opened up. And then this one I bought myself when they launched at Target. So these 4 I got in PR. This one I purchased myself. So I don't need all of these for sure. I am actually going to get rid of the one that I purchased, which is in the shade Minted. It is a little bit too light and kind of yellow toned, which just is not in my preference. It's not like, these aren't bad formula, but they're not my favorite. They're a powder highlighter that sits on, in my opinion, a little heavy on the skin. Like they're not super like shiny. They're a little bit more powdery. So I don't love the formula. I don't hate it, and I want to keep a few in my collection, but I can definitely let go of the shade Minted. I want to keep this shade called Vanilla Bean. It is more of like a creamy white vanilla, which I don't think I really have kept in the past in any of the other formulas, so I will keep Vanilla Bean. Then I have this pink one called Spotlight. I will keep this one. And then I will declutter these other 2. They're just a little too deep for my skin tone, for my preference. This one is in the shade Goldmine, and the deepest one is in the shade Moondust. So I will pass these on. They're pretty new to my collection in general. Some other ones that are very new to my collection are these stack here. I'm going to keep all of these considering how new they are. I have 2 of the What's Up Beauty Serengeti highlighters. The packaging is stunning. Like, these feel and look very luxurious. I have Wild Acacia, which is the lighter one, and then I have Safari Sunset, which is slightly deeper. The embossing. Like, can we talk about the embossing in the pan on these? Beautiful. Beautiful. I got these sent in PR, just so you know. We have like a white with a pink and a gold with a pink. Love. I love really the lighter one more, but I'm going to keep this one because in the summertime, I feel like that's going to work for me. Very wet looking on the skin, very impactful on the skin, not glittery, not sparkly. Keeping. These ones from Game Beauty, love these ones, not getting rid of them. I purchased the Geo one on my own, and this is like a yellow leaning champagne. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it. Then I have Cryo, which is the blue. And then I have Pyro, which is like the red. All of these are so stunning. And these 2 are colorful highlighters that don't leave like a colorful stripe on your skin. They are that like slightly more translucent base. So when you're looking straight on, you can't see the color until you turn your head. I love how tiny and compact the packaging is. So I am going to keep these. All right, we're down to the last set of highlighters here. I'm finally going to let go of this highlighter from Dose of Colors and Desi and Katie. I've had this since it launched. How many years ago? This has to be 4-ish years old, right? If not older. And I can count on one hand how many times I've used it because it is just too deep for me. This is in the shade Fuego. Honestly, it is a beautiful formula. Super wet looking on the skin, very smooth. This whole collection, I feel like, is the peak of Dose of Colors. Like the eyeshadow palette, the lip products, the highlighters were just honestly stunning. But this is the last thing I have from that collection, and I think I'm just gonna let it go. Like, I just don't use it. It's too deep for my skin tone. It is stunning, but it's gotta go. I just don't use it. One that I'm not letting go though, and I used it the other day, is the Anastasia Amrezy highlighter. Listen, they discontinued this baby, and this used to be like my favorite highlighter of all time. It is like ultra wet. It's a baked formula, so not powdery. The color is just like very beautiful champagne. Loving it, keeping it. Just need to keep it. I have 2 of the Norns Mesmerizer highlighters. These I got in a mystery box that I got from Odin's Eye last year, I wanna say. These are honestly not my favorite highlighters, but because they're Odin's Eye, I'm gonna keep them. They're very sparkly. Not a lot of base color to them, but super sparkly. And I actually like using these on the eyes. Like if I have a metallic shadow that I wanna make a little more sparkly, I tend to just like reach into this just to top it off. We have the blue one in Spring of Life. We have this one in Veil of Future. I am going to keep these. I have 2 of the highlighters from the Sailor Moon collection, the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon collection. you better believe I kept the packaging because of these such cute little cats. Like, I'm a huge cat lady. I love cats, and these two cats are adorable. I don't know anything about Sailor Moon, but tell me that these cats are not the cutest things you've ever seen in your life. So I have these in the shades Moon Kingdom, which is really pretty, and I have this one in the shade Moonlight. So Moonlight is like a pink with a blue reflect, very unique. But again, it is that ColourPop pressed highlighter formula where it's not very shiny. It's a little bit heavier on the skin, but I think with the colorful ones, somehow it works almost like draping it into my blush as an extension of my blush. This one I didn't think was gonna work for me, but I actually really like this over a blush, almost like a blush topper. It is like a deeper purple with a blue reflect as well. And the cats, I love them. Absolutely keeping the Resurgence highlighter duo from Heather Austin and Unearthly. I've gotten so much use out of, in particular, this one in the shade Rebirth. These are just beautiful, sparkly highlighters that are like kind of duochrome-y. This one is a white to a pink, and this is like a gold to a cranberry red. It is just stunning. They are definitely more on the sparkly side. Definitely gonna keep this. And I am gonna declutter this highlighting duo from Hard Candy. It's the Just Glow highlighting duo in the shade Blushing on You. I actually think this is a good drugstore option. They are a little bit more on the metallic side. They're not ultra blingy or anything, but they're fine, but I don't reach for them. I don't need them. I have so many other highlighters, obviously, that you can see that I reach for over this, so I'm gonna let this go. And then last but not least, I have, honestly, my favorite highlighter in my collection right now. Every time I put this highlighter on, I audibly gasp at how beautiful it is. This is the Unearthly Cosmetics Low Light Highlighter Single. This one is in the shade Spellbinding. I can't even properly, translate to you how stunning this highlighter is. It is like the most beautiful shifting multi-chrome highlighter. It is, I don't know what colors it is. I know it has a pink in there because I love topping, putting this on top of my cheekbones when I have a pink blush. It just, oh my goodness. I can't even describe how beautiful it is. So you better believe I'm keeping it. And they had a sale on their site recently. I bought all the other colors. So that's coming to me next. So I need to make room for them. All right, let me total up what I'm keeping, what I'm getting rid of, and I will come back to show you the results. I forgot to add this last highlighter. This one is new to me. I'm still testing it. I haven't even featured it in a video or anything, but this is the Glam Light Friday the 13th highlighter. I have only used this maybe a handful of times, but it is stunning. I got this because Angelica Nyqvist was raving about the formula, because Glamlight traditionally with their highlighters offer very, very sparkly highlighters, which I love. But this one is duochrome, like an iridescent duochrome without being sparkly. It does translate more smooth on the skin, which I think is, oh gosh, it is so beautiful. It is, look at that. Yes, so definitely keeping that. Of course, I literally just got it in the mail 2 weeks ago, so obviously I'm going to keep it, but just wanted to let you know about that, including that. This is not going to go in the same drawer anyway, so I'll just put it over here. So with that being said, I'm keeping 26 highlighters. I'm decluttering 11, which to me is very good. 2 thumbs up for me. I'm definitely happy with that, and I'm glad to be getting rid of some of these ones that I've literally had for years. Like these I've had for years that I just don't reach for, and then a couple other ones that the colors just don't work for me, or the formulas I'm just not reaching for. So I'm feeling good about it. All right, and that is it for this declutter video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below letting me know your thoughts on any of the products that I talked about today. I would really love to know your thoughts. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave. I do upload videos weekly, and I'd love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.